ready, William?
I am ready. AJC guy. Thank you.
All right, it's all yours, Rodney. Have about 15 minutes.
All right.
Take it
15.
away.
15.
Something to camera first?
It doesn't really matter. I don't know if I'm going to use the video necessarily, but
Just if you want to, we'll have them center up on you if you want
Yeah.
to or not.
okay. I mean, yeah, this is Rodney Ho with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I'm here with Jaden Michael, who stars in the Netflix, I guess you call it a limited series, right? Colin in Black and White.
Yes.
6 episodes. This is the biggest role you've done to date, right? I mean, in a sense, right? Do you feel like this is the biggest role?
Yeah. I've done a lot of work. I've been in the acting industry for 15 years now, but this is.
Which
my
means
big
you
break.
were about yay big, right, when you first started?
Yeah, 3.
Did you do like a commercial or something? What was your first role?
My mom put me into modeling when I was 2.
Oh, okay.
And it kind of just crescendoed from there. I did Nickelodeon commercials and Nickelodeon skits and, other things along that sense, and doing short films, and then doing student films, and then doing feature films, and then doing, leading in a feature film, and now to leading in a Netflix miniseries.
I know, and Netflix, obviously, huge distribution. It's been out for a few days. What's been the reaction so far? It must be insanity for you right now.
I don't usually like to read reviews or to even watch myself. I feel like, you put your work on the table, you do your best, and you learn from those experiences and you move on. So, there's nothing you can change about what's on screen.
Absolutely. How about friends, family, people who have been able to watch you? I mean, what's been the feedback?
Good feedback from my friends, even my friends who always grill me. So I think they appreciate it. I even have some parts of my friends or people I consider family friends who may not agree with Colin, who said, this is really inspirational to me and I feel really enlightened, and I've learned so much through the experiences. I may not be able to agree with his political ideologies, but I can respect him as a person a lot more now. So.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't really know much about him, right? So this is kind of an opportunity for him to provide that context.
I think a lot of people misunderstood him. People thought that they understood what he was standing for in his conversation, but we were placing our own biases onto his conversation. And this show sheds light to the truth and its authenticity.
What did you know going in about him, and what drew you to the role?
Playing an idol of mine for years, I've always thought it's important, if you have any sort of influence upon society or upon your community, you should use it for positive change. And the fact that Colin would do that so selflessly, put his entire career on the line, was incredible to me. I looked up to him. And the opportunity to play him was even more incredible. I didn't think I had anything in common with a legend. I didn't think I had any history that could even connect with a person who as grandiose as him. But seeing his childhood and seeing how he was raised, I realized he was human, and he was just like me. And he was just like a lot of my brothers and sisters in Harlem and all across the United States and the world even. And I think that's the beautiful thing. It doesn't take a special upbringing to become a legend and to become someone who fights for change.
He and Ava DuVernay, they created, it's not just a straight scripted series. There are a lot of interesting elements to this story. They provide some historical backdrops, some reenactments that have no direct bearing on the story itself, right? And how did you what was your reaction as you saw them piece it together like that? Because it is like a puzzle, right, piecing this type of series together.
Well, there's a script, so it's not really as much as a puzzle as it is a recipe.
A recipe is probably the better term, right?
But it's a beautiful coalition of ideas and a collage of film mediums, and it's a beautiful experience to learn and educate yourself through.
Yeah, there's even some graphic elements. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't involved in those, but after you saw it in post, what was kind of your feeling as you watched them piece together all these different stories.
I haven't really watched the show. So
Oh, you haven't? Oh my goodness!
So-
You kind of know the elements, but you haven't actually seen
I know how it reads, but yeah,
Is it? I mean, personally, watching yourself, is it just
irritating.
because you always think you could do something better, or you could have done something different, or
I mean, by the end of a show, you learn so much about yourself and your process that
you experienced it personally already? Yeah, you already lived it.
It's also extremely cringy to watch a younger version of yourself. But
I mean, it's not that long ago, right? This wasn't. When was this shot?
actually a year ago.
Okay, well, that's
Today.
a lot. For you're how old are you now?
18.
18. So yeah, a year
It's
is
a
a long
big
time.
jump.
Yeah, it is. It is. Of the episodes, which one was the most edifying for you personally in terms of doing of the 6 episodes? Which one kind of had the most emotional impact for you?
For me, it was most interesting to make episode 5. I never did any romance.
Oh my goodness, yes.
In real life or on film. I
Surprising at this point, right? I mean, it just never landed that way, right? So this is the first time you got to just have a romantic moment with anybody?
Yeah, the first
Wow.
physical contact with a person
Wow.
of the opposite sex. But no, it was. I think it was very. I think Clark is an excellent actress, and she and I worked very closely together to create an authentic feeling, an authentic relationship on screen. And Angel Christie Williams, the director of episode 5, did a fantastic job of creating a safe place for us to find Crystal and Colin in.
Episode 6 was done by Kenny Leon out
Yep.
of Atlanta. What was it like working with Kenny?
Kenny is a mastermind. I was actually just talking to him, and every time I speak to him, I feel like I'm embraced by genius. I remember at first he sort of doubted me. He was like, "Yeah, this little kid, what is he gonna do?" He's like, "Whatever." He had his doubts about me, and then I refused to be put down by him, and I was like kept pushing for his approval and kept pushing for his motivation, and towards the end I think I gained a little bit of his respect, and he's been one of the most enlightening directors to work with, closely after Ava, but but no,
Sorry, she did 2 of the episodes herself, right?
one of them.
One of
The
them. She did the first one. Okay.
Yeah.
The in the 6th episode, which he directed, you got to play some basketball too. So you ended up doing 3 different sports. And was that a particular challenge? Were you already an athlete, or were all these things you had to figure out on the fly?
And not on the fly. I had an amazing group of people supporting me on Netflix and at Array Studios. So, Game Changers was super helpful. Justin Skinner and Amy were helping me practice those 3 sports, trying to figure out 18 years of 3 different sports.
It's insane. Yeah, you have to be
in 2 months. So. It was difficult, but I had a little bit of athleticism. I won't lie. I grew up skateboarding in New York City, so I knew how to control my body, and I feel like acting is also sort of physical in nature. You have to understand your body and body language. So in that sense, they were sort of correlated, and I had a little bit of preparation done, but still it's completely different trying to learn the dedication required for team sports.
You had you had to spend a lot of time with Nick Offerman and Mary Louise Parker.
Not had to, enjoyed very, very much.
I mean, I guess it was written into the script, but fair enough. Yeah, you enjoyed your time, but you had a close relationship with them in terms of. And what was it like working with such veteran, stars? I mean, the both of them have been around for decades and have done great work.
I mean, if you really read the script, their relationship isn't written in the script. There's so many ways to take how they felt. Especially during the auditioning process, I was reading the way that Mary Louise was, or the way that Teresa and Rick are speaking to Colin, and I was like, oh my God, this is the wrong way, and I brought my own biases onto it, and I was reacting as such. I was upset at the way that they were treating me and how they would speak to me. And after really thinking about how Colin really doesn't know anything about his family and the culture that he's missing out on from his black roots, and and speaking to him and asking him about his relationship with his parents as an adopted child, I really came to learn how much he loved his parents and how much he
you could see
appreciated
that in the
it.
show, absolutely.
And that was something that I wanted to keep authentic in the show. And,
Yeah, it was the road trip episode, right? I mean, that really was really impactful in terms of their dynamics, right? And the what was it like doing the getting pulled over by the cop scene, where obviously scripted in, it's like, gosh, you really dodged a bullet there. She said it in a lighthearted manner and not in a literal manner, but I'm sure Colin in his brain was thinking of it in a literal manner, in a sense.
I don't think he even fully truly understood the amount of pressure he was under in that moment. I think even to that point he had a skewed and misunderstood understanding of what the power relationships are, especially between a black or biracial teen and a police officer. So actually that was some of the things I wanted to do. As a black child and even people in urban communities, we're taught how to approach the police, especially when getting pulled over. And so I made sure I knew all of those things, and then I threw them all out the window for that scene. I moved quickly. I was a little rude to the officer at times, and all things that your teachers tell
If
you
you had
don't
black
do.
parents, yeah, they would have told you those things already by then.
I really wanted to understand what that pressure was like on a deeper level. I had my own experience with officers prior, but I didn't feel like it was the same relationship that Colin was having in that moment. So I asked my mom to call one of her friends who I know has had many situations with police enforcement, and he told me a story about how one day he was in his community, in his hood, he was getting some Chinese food, and 4 or 5 police officers just came in and started beating him. He was left hospitalized, and none of the officers were ever prosecuted.
Wow.
Nothing ever happened to them, and it was swept under the rug. And he's left with those scars, mentally and physically, and that story really helped encapsulate the feelings that Colin was misunderstanding in that moment. And
Yeah, during that entire episode, I guess there were just a series of microaggressions, right, by hotel staff and coaches, and I mean, I presume that was unfortunately relatable to you, a lot of those situations that Colin encountered.
I wouldn't say that they were one for one.
Sure.
But yes, especially when, as a person who's trying to pursue a career, especially a career in a white-led world, the entertainment industry
to a degree still, yes.
isn't fully full of color yet.
No,
But
I mean,
we're sprinkling it in.
Ava's definitely been a major step forward.
It's
no doubt.
it's a white cupcake with brown sprinkles on top.
That's true.
But it's you come to experiences and road bumps that impact how you think about the rest of your society.
What have you learned the most from Ava DuVernay from this experience, having worked with other executive producers? What's special about her?
To trust your power. I know, but seriously, I think that she's taught me to enable myself to trust my blackness and trust the side of me that I myself hadn't completely understood. Because my mom's Latin and I wasn't really raised by the black side of my family.
Gotcha.
It was like family to me now, and she really commands attention when she's on set, and she commands respect, and that confidence is something that I aspire to have in the future.
What was the interplay between her and Colin like? What was it like watching the two of them work together?
I never got to watch them work together.
Oh, really? They were more behind the scenes when they were dealing with stuff?
Well, no, because of COVID.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they shot all of Colin's scenes in New York City, and then after they shot all of Colin's scenes, they shot my scenes in Los Angeles.
they shot his first.
Yeah, yeah.
So when he's looking on the screen, you haven't seen the series, but he's watching a lot of the scenes.
Yeah.
But they hadn't actually happened yet.
There's
So a
this
little bit
one-
of acting on his part, I guess.
There's this one scene when I walk into the hip hop store in episode 1, and somebody comes in and bumps me, and it's supposed to be Colin bumping me and then walking into his gallery. And I remember seeing the black coat because I had seen some rough takes of Colin's.
For people who are comparing to the Matrix, he has this kind of powerful feel to him.
Yeah, so
like a
I
superpower.
had seen the black coat, and I saw this super tall person of color in this powerful black jacket, and I was like, oh my God, it's Colin. And I went to walk up to run to him, and the guy turned around, and it was not Colin. And I was like, oh, hello, nice to meet you.
That's too bad. So unfortunately with COVID, you weren't able to spend more one-on-one time with Colin. Did you end up like doing a lot of like Zoom calls with him or?
Not during the shooting process, but before the shooting process, we were speaking. But again, I thought it was important to sort of separate the Colin the legend and Colin the teenager. So the fact that what I learned from him was mainly from his childhood, I think if I would have asked him anything else, it would have been more about, the Colin we know today. And I think that would have been a hindrance to the person, to young Colin.
Right. And I think most everybody already knows what happened going into this series, so I noticed that they only reference, the controversy over the kneeling for a brief moment in episode 3, and that's it. Does that make sense to you from a storytelling standpoint that wasn't, that they really shouldn't have to spend much time on that?
I'm no writer, but I think Colin's story was very polarizing, and it grabbed the attention of the world. So, I don't think it needs to be directly mentioned. And
Sure.
besides, the story isn't about Colin, even though his name is on it. It's about any young teenager who's black and white, or brown and white, or black and brown, trying to find where they belong. Or even white and white. Sometimes, everyone gets confused.
We're almost out of time here, but before, did you ever have a decision in terms of going into acting? Did you have other options too? He had to weigh, pretty much episode 6 is him, or he had the whole decision, I think it was episode 4, where he had to decide baseball, football. Were you always focused on acting? Was that something that you just felt, you honed in on and didn't have a plan B?
My mom put me into a soccer class when I was 7.
Okay.
And some kid kicked me, and I never saw a soccer ball again.
Wait, are you implying that was a deliberate kick and not an accident?
No, it was not a soccer related kick. It was a off-field trip. But anyway, point is.
All right. That sounds like a separate story.
Yeah, it's a completely different story. But no, my fallback was being broke. I guess that's also an actor. So no, I was fully committed to either being a college student or an actor.
Fair enough. And before we go, what are your future plans? What would you like to see yourself doing in 10, 15 years?
More stuff like this. I feel like this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I hope the opportunity doesn't happen once.
That's true. You're a little young to be peaking, right? You don't want your acting career to be a peak at this moment, right?
Yeah, that would be kind of weird.
It happens to some people, so but hopefully we'll see you in many more projects. So.
Thank you.
But thank you, Jaden.
Thanks for your time.
It's already out. Colin in Black and White's on Netflix for everybody to see. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Before we stop rolling, do you want to do that open again?
Sure.
He wasn't quite ready for you. We still grabbed and focused. So,
Oh, okay.
So I don't want you to get back there and be like, oh my gosh. So it's just ready whenever you are.
Okay. Hey, this is Rodney Ho with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I'm here with Jaden Michael. He is the star of the new Netflix series, Colin in Black and White. Nice to meet you, Jaden.
Nice to meet you.
Well
There we go.
done. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you've done a few takes before like